Are you ready to go racing? Because I know I am. So in this video, let's actually preview the first race of Formula 1's brand new era, the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix. Let's do this. Okay, so after a long winter, the first race of the season is here. So I'm very excited for this race because it's the start of a brand new era for Formula 1, and I would like to welcome every single fan that's just now joined the sport. You have picked a great time to join in because this will be the start of something amazing. So for 2022, if you guys don't know, we have got a brand new generation of cars and the pecking order of the teams will be completely unpredictable. So I've tried to make my predictions for the 2022 season multiple times here on this channel, but the fact of the matter is the Bahrain Grand Prix is the first time that we'll see these cars going racing in full power with low fuel loads, and we are going to see their top speed and how they compare to the 2021 cars and how they improve racing. So I'm very excited to see how teams perform. I'm very excited to see if the teams are going to perform as I think they are going to, and most of all, I really want to see how these cars are going to improve the racing situation and how they are going to improve the overtaking in Formula 1. That's been a problem for the last few years. So in this video, let's actually take a look at the season opener for the 2022 Formula 1 season, and fortunately is at one of the best tracks in the calendar for me, the Bahrain Grand Prix. So Bahrain is a track that encompasses every single type of corner that we have in Formula 1. So we have big straights, slow corners, fast corners and medium speed corners. So I think that after this Grand Prix we will have a very good idea of who to watch and who I think is going to be the championship contenders. And in this video I'm going to give you a few details about the track, and then I'm going to give you my teams and drivers to watch for this weekend's Grand Prix. Okay, so I've got a few notes here from this weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix, and these notes were provided by the AlphaTauri Formula 1 team. So the Bahrain Grand Prix will take turn in the Bahrain International Circuit at Sakhir, and this time we will not use the outer loop layout, we will use the full Grand Prix layout. So the lap record for Bahrain, as you can see on your screen right now, is a 1 minute 31.447, and the circuit is 5.412 kilometers in length, and I'll have it here on the screen for my American friends how much that is in miles. So the Grand Prix will have 308 kilometers, which means 57 laps of the Sakhir circuit, and I think that we are going to see a lot of action during this race. So according to AlphaTauri Simulator, and this is very interesting, the average speed of Sector 1, which is one of the fastest sectors in Formula 1 because of these two big straights right here, is 210 kilometers per hour, and cars are expected to hit a maximum of 3.3 lateral Gs here at turn 5. So the Bahrain Grand Prix circuit is a very well-rounded circuit, but also a circuit that demands a lot from the engine. So the top speed on the straight with the RS on will be 314 kilometers per hour, and this is a speed that they have seen probably during preseason testing. But I think that teams are going to struggle to achieve very high speeds because porpoising is an issue, and the higher the speed of the car, the higher the porpoising effect, but we are going to talk about that a little bit later. So when it comes to tires, Pirelli is going to bring the C1, C2 and C3 compounds to the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend, and I think that this is a very conservative choice because they are probably wanting to see how these cars are going to perform, and in order to assure that the first race of Formula 1's brand new era is not limited by tires, they are bringing the hardest compounds in the race. Okay, so when it comes to downforce, teams are expected to run on a medium to high load of downforce, but unlike some of the previous years, I expect the wings of the cars to be run much lower because, as we know, most of the downforce of the car will be produced by the floor. So in Bahrain, it's crucial to get a very nice balance of downforce and top speed because we have 4 massive straights around the track, 3 of which are with DRS, but then we have these sectors 1 and sector 2 that are very limited by the amount of downforce that you have on the car because we have a lot of high speed corners. So in Bahrain it's critical to have a very nice balance of downforce and of straight line speed, because if you go for a very high downforce setup, and especially in qualifying with a tow from your teammate, you can get a very good lap time, but then on the race you will be a sitting duck to other cars that are running lesser downforce packages, and especially in this 2022 regulations that are expected to increase overtaking, I'm expecting to see a lot of overtaking, so I'm expecting the cars to run a very low downforce setup when compared to previous years in order not to be sitting ducks during the race and improve their performances on the DRS zones 1, 2 and 3, which are the main overtaking spots on the track. Now in this track there are 3 main overtaking zones, so here into turn 1, into turn 4, and here into this turn after the third DRS zone. And I'm expecting cars to struggle a lot with the braking zones around turn 1 and turn 10 as they were in testing, because these cars seem to have a very tricky time in low speed corners, and especially in these zones right here where the car has to massively decelerate. The cars seem very sluggish, and with drivers trying to overtake each other, I'm just expecting them to be very clumsy, and I would not be surprised if we saw a lot of crashes in the first race with drivers understeering into each other's side pod. So this is a race where I'm not expecting a lot of finishers, especially because it's the first race of a brand new era where a lot of drivers don't know the cars. So watch out especially for turn 10 and turn 1 when it comes to braking, and watch out especially for the McLaren, because they were having a lot of brake issues, so it will be very interesting to see if they are able to fix their issues in order to complete the race, because I think that they have got a very good package, and I hope they can use it in Bahrain. Okay, so when it comes to the key factors of who may win this race, I'm looking at porpoising, because we have seen from testing how unstable porpoising really makes a car. So I'm expecting that the teams that have a better grip on porpoising to be very up the grid, and if we have a top team such as Ferrari or Red Bull suffering from porpoising, you can expect that even if they have the best car, they are going to go down during the race, because porpoising really makes the car very uncontrollable. And I've got another video explaining porpoising if you want to learn more on that, but it's basically a thing when the car goes up and down due to generating downforce, the car getting so low to the ground and then losing all of the downforce all of a sudden, which means that the car just goes up and down the straight, and this can really hurt the drivers and mean that the cars are going to have very unpredictable levels of downforce. So I'm expecting the teams that can control porpoising better to be the best during this kind of situation, and especially during the first races, I'm expecting that the teams in the midfield that can control porpoising better are going to be the ones that outperform each other, and this can be crucial for scoring early season wins or early season points when it comes to a lot of teams' titles chances. So when it comes to drivers and teams to watch, I really need to get the cat out of the bag. So Sebastian Vettel has unfortunately tested positive for COVID-19, and it will be very interesting to see how Hülkenberg performs in 2022 machinery without having any testing time, and it will be very good to see if Hülkenberg is the super sub that he has been for Racing Point over the last couple of years, and I think that it's also very good to see him back on the grid, and it will be very interesting to see Hülkenberg and Magnussen potentially starting in the same part of the grid, because Haas seems to be on about the same level as the Aston Martin, and those two drivers really don't get along. And when it comes to the fight for the top, I'm really watching out for Verstappen and Leclerc. So both drivers that have a very good track record here, so both of them are very hungry for a championship, and both of them fall in the category of having almost won a race at Bahrain. So as you know, Max Verstappen last year almost won the race against Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc in 2019 was poised to win the race before reliability issues cost him the win. So I'm watching out for these two drivers, because I think that they are going to be in top tier cars, and I think that in the early season these are going to be the drivers fighting for wins. Now when it comes to teams, I'm really watching out for Haas and Alpine, so it will be very interesting to see how they perform in qualifying and during the race, because I really don't know where to put them in the pecking order, and it will be very interesting. And when it comes to Haas, I'm very interested to see just how big a step their car is from last year. So last year they were always last, and I've made the video about that too, and this year they have a much better driver lineup, with Kevin Magnussen bringing the experience and Mick Schumacher no longer being the rookie, and now they have invested a full calendar year into the development of the VF22, and it definitely looks one of the cars that's the most developed when compared to the rest of the grid. So I'm very interested to see how they are going to do in that midfield. So those are my teams and drivers to watch, so watch out for Verstappen, Leclerc and Hülkenberg, and then take a look at Alpine and Haas, because we will be taking a look at their performances after the race. So that's been it for my preview and early predictions at the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix weekend. If you guys cannot tell, I'm very excited to see these brand new cars on track for the first time, and I'll be glued to the TV for the entire weekend. So that's been it for this race preview, and if you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned, because next week I'm going to have a review of everything that happened at this week's race. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.